Hi guys. So today I decided to record outside because why not? But actually today we're gonna be going over the compound effect. I have this book right next to me right here. It's a book about how to gain success and pretty much get anything you want in life. So we're gonna be going over that. I'm gonna tell you what I learned. Let's go. Anyway, so the premise of this book is that pretty much the small choices that you make and the habits that you have that compound over time make a big difference in your life, right? So let's say you want to get in the gym and get fit, right? It doesn't take taking at working out every day for a month to become fit, right? Work out 3 times a week, 2 times a week for a year, you'll be fit. So it's more that small things that you do over a long period of time consistently can make a really big difference in your life. And the thing is, for a lot of people trying to transform their lives, that they try to go really hard at the beginning because they have a lot of motivation and they want to succeed, right? But what's going on in this book is that that's the wrong mindset to have because you can't really go hard on something for a long period of time. We're just not built for that. It's a lot easier to take it easy and try to make small progress every day than try to go and rush into it, right? So that's the advantage of trying to use a compound effect, that you don't really have to go that hard on yourself. You can just do small things that aren't really that hard for a long period of time, and that'll make a big difference, and it'll have the same effect as if you were to go really hard, and it's a lot easier to do too. So the introduction in the first chapter to this book was pretty much what I just told you. It was that the compound effect, that small things over a long period of time can have a big impact on your life. But there's also one more thing I want to talk about that's pretty important. It's called the ripple effect, right? So, what this talks about pretty much is that, let's say you had a cupcake for after dinner this one time. You were on a diet, you had a cupcake, and then you went to bed, right? Well, what'll happen then? You wake up, and because of that cupcake, you feel slow and groggy, right? You wake up, you get out of bed, you wake up probably late because of the cupcake, and you sleep longer. And then you get to trying to work. You work on your job, you work on your business if you have that, and you're not doing that quality of work because you don't really have the energy, right? You ate a cupcake. So you're not doing that quality of work. You get off work now, and because of that cupcake, you didn't do quality work, and because you didn't do quality work, now you're in a bad mood. So now, when you try to work on your social life, let's say you try to get closer to your kids, your wife, your friends, all that, you're gonna be in a bad mood. So it's not gonna be as effective, right? And pretty much what this is saying is that small things, remember, this just started from a cupcake, right? Small things that you do, these bad small things that you do, can actually have a really big impact on your life. And pretty much to be careful and not to overuse them. And that's pretty much the summary of the ripple effect. So, being the second chapter is titled Choices. Now, there are two things that I really want to go over with this chapter that I think are the most important things. The first one is accountability. So, this is why this is, well, not really, but this is part of the reason why this chapter is titled Choices. The book pretty much says that it's really easy to blame everyone else for your problems, right? So, let's say you aren't getting paid a lot at your job. It's a lot easier to blame your boss that doesn't recognize your hard work than to actually try to improve it, right? And that's what a lot of people do, but it's not really a good way to live your life, and that's not a good way to go about your life, right? So, in this chapter, it says to go over all the things that you want changed in your life and which ones you're not taking 100% accountability for. And for those that you're not taking 100% accountability for, you need to take 100% accountability because no one's going to come in and fix your problems for you, right? If you have a problem, no one's going to pat you on the back and say, hey, let's get this done. You have to do it yourself. And if you're not taking accountability, then that's really hard to do because you're just going to keep blaming other things and not actually take on any responsibility and try to fix things. So that's the first thing this chapter goes over. The second thing this chapter goes over is that you should be tracking your habits, right? So let's say you have something that, so you figured out a problem, you saying, hey, I'm not taking full accountability, and now you're taking accountability, right? So let's say it's your diet, for example. Now what you're going to do is that you're going to track every single thing you eat for a week. So you're just going to get a piece of paper, write down the date, write down what you've eaten that day, how much of it, and you're going to do that for maybe a week, right? If you want to do it for longer, you can. This is just a baseline. So you're going to do it for a week, a month, however long you want. And that's going to help you because it's really a bad feeling when you know you're not supposed to be doing something and then you do it. That's already bad. But then you have to write it down and admit to yourself that you were making this bad habit by choice, right? This is the second reason why this chapter is called Choices, because it's really, bad habits are really a choice, right? I mean, it's pretty hard to overcome that, but it is a choice at the end of the day. And it's really painful to know that, one, you're doing something wrong, and two, you have to write that down. So it really motivates you to try and end whatever you're trying to fix. So if it's your diet, it really motivates you to try and not eat healthier, right? So tracking what you're doing really helps you because it makes it a lot easier to improve, right? So that was it for chapter 2, and now we're going to move on to chapter 3, and that is titled Habits. Now it gives a really good story at the beginning of this chapter that I want to share with you. The story goes that there was once a teacher and his student, right? Now the teacher says, I need you to pull up this tree for me. It's not really a big tree. It's more near the size of a weed. It's kind of just like a stick sticking out of the ground. And the student pulls it up, right? Because he was told to. Now the teacher says, good job, good job. Now I need you to pull up this other tree, right? So this tree, it's more like a sapling. It's grown a little bit. It has some branches, it has some leaves. But still, it's not too big, right? So the student, he struggles a little bit, but eventually he pulls it out. And so the teacher says, good job. Now I need you to pull up this final tree, right? It's the last tree, but this tree, it's not a sapling like the other tree. It's more a full-grown oak tree, right? It has really big branches, really big leaves, really big roots, right? And the student says, I'm sorry, I can't pull that up. That's too big of a tree, right? And the teacher says, in life, there are a lot of things that we are going to need to change. And that's pretty much an example of pulling up the tree, something you need to change. And if it's too hard, we might even hesitate to try. And that's why this chapter is titled Habits. The tree represents a bad habit that you have, right? And how long you've been doing it. The small tree, the one at the beginning, the small one that's just a stick out of the ground, it's a new habit, right? It's something you've recently started doing. It's not that easy to change. It's easy to change, I mean. The second tree, it's medium difficulty to change. You can pull it up. It's going to be a little bit hard, but you can pull it up. But when a habit's so big, when a bad habit's so big, and you've been doing it for so long, it's really hard to change at the point where you might even hesitate to try. And that's pretty much the moral of the story for this example I gave you, is that really bad habits that you've been doing for a long time are pretty hard to change. But it can be done. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and that's what we're going to go over in this chapter. So as the book says, these are the action steps in the book. What it says is that you need to identify your 3 best and your 3 worst habits. Now your best habits, obviously you don't need to change. But the 3 worst habits, those are the trees, right? They're the medium to big trees that are going to be hard to change. Now, once you recognize those habits, what you're going to do is that you're going to find your why power is what it's called. Your why power is pretty much why you need to change those bad habits, the 3 worst habits that you have, right? For me, I'll give you a story from my life personally. I used to be addicted to video games. I'm not addicted anymore. But I remember every day I would come home from school, right? And I'd get on the game. I'd get on my gaming PC, play Rocket League, play Fortnite, all that. And I remember I was really unhappy because my relationship with my family wasn't really that good. My relationship with my friends wasn't really that good. So during that time, I decided I would quit video games. And I didn't know this at the time, but my why power pretty much, that a strong reason why I needed to stop was because I just wanted to improve my relationships, right? So it needs to be a really strong reason that you actually care about that will help you to eliminate the bad habits, right? And also, once you have that why power, what you need to do from the last chapter, again, you need to track that bad habit. You need to try to eliminate it, but you always need to keep your why power in mind, right? Because that's what's going to motivate you to try to change it. And it is really hard, but if you have a really strong why power to pretty much cancel out the strength of the tree, but basically, if you have a really strong why power, you can conquer almost any bad habit just because you have a real reason why you need to end that bad habit. So that's pretty much it for chapter 3. Let's get on to chapter 4. So chapter 5, I'm pretty sure it is. No, it's chapter 4. So chapter 4 is titled Momentum. Now, momentum, what it goes over in this chapter pretty much is that one, it's a lot easier to do the good habits that we identified in the last chapter when you have momentum, right? And 2, this is honestly the main thing I want you to take away from this chapter, is that you need to have a schedule, because a schedule, it'll let you know what you need to be doing when. But also, now that we eliminated the bad habits in the last chapter, we need good habits to replace them. Good habits, you can easily just brainstorm that, but how to actually do it is 1, put it into your schedule, and 2, stay consistent. Because staying consistent, it'll give you momentum. And momentum really shoots you off into the direction you want to be, because it's a lot easier to stay consistent, and again, the compound effect, small things that you do over time help your life. It's a lot easier to keep doing it over time when you have momentum, because it makes you feel good. It's when you've been doing the good habits and what you've been wanting to do for a while, it makes you feel good, and that makes you a lot better at doing them, right? So pretty much what you need to do, you need to swear to yourself, give yourself an oath that you will stay consistent as much as possible in the good habits that you want to do. And you need to make sure that you're not losing momentum, because losing momentum can spiral you down into a place where you don't want to be. So that's pretty much the moral of the 4th chapter. Now, the next chapter we're going to talk about is chapter 5. It's titled Influences. This is probably my favorite chapter, and also the one that I think is the most important. Me personally, that's just my opinion. But pretty much, this goes over how your influences can really affect you. Because let's say nowadays everyone's on social media, so I'm just going to give the example of Twitter, right? You go on Twitter, you see some news, Donald Trump said something racist again. But actually, though, you go on Twitter, you see some news, right? It's bad news, it's stressful, you are worried, right? That's going to affect you if you keep doing it, of course. One piece of news won't affect you that much. But if you go on Twitter every day and you keep seeing this bad news, it's going to affect you, and it's going to make you less productive and also less aligned with your goals, right? So pretty much what you need to do is that the book gives this example. You need to filter out the bad water and replace it with clean water, right? What you need to do, you need to make what you're seeing online and what you're seeing out in the world as positive as possible, so that you're more motivated to try and pursue your goals. So it also talks about how you need a partner, pretty much, an action partner that has similar goals to you, that you can hold each other accountable, right? So let's say you're trying to go to the gym and you need to find a gym partner, right? So you find your gym partner, you get them to be your partner, and you need to meet up every once in a while and hold yourself accountable for how much you're going to the gym, right? So let's say you made the goal to go 3 times a week. Your partner will say, hey, have you gone 3 times this week? Have you gone 3 times last week, right? And if you haven't, well, now you need to go 3 times next time you meet up, right? You need to achieve your goal, because you don't want to tell your partner that you failed, pretty much, while they succeeded. So that's also what this chapter goes over. Also, there is a couple more things. Well, actually, one more thing. It talks about how you need to evaluate your associations, right? So if you've ever heard the quote, you are the 5 people who you spend the most time with, or the average, or it goes something along those lines. Pretty much whoever you spend the most time with, they need to be quality people that will actually motivate you to go and achieve your goals, right? Let's say you have a friend that's just completely negative. He isn't polite, he isn't nice, he doesn't have goals, he's constantly putting you down, right? That's not going to be good for your success as a person. And you need to reevaluate that friendship, right? Now, I'm not saying just cut off everyone in your life. I'm just saying try to limit how much you're around negative people that will influence you negatively, pretty much. And that's pretty much it for this chapter. So let's go on to the next one. Now, the last chapter that we're going to talk about is chapter 6. The last chapter is called Acceleration. So, pretty much throughout this whole book, we've been talking about how, one, you need to do small things over time that'll compound into success. And also how you need to eliminate bad habits, how to instill good habits, right? This chapter is going to talk about how to further those good habits and make them even better. Sorry, there's a fly that keeps annoying me. But pretty much what this is saying is that you have your goals. At this point, you've already made some progress. You're going to the gym. You're doing everything you want to do. So now what you need to do is say to yourself, what can I be doing more in, right? So you've already established the good habits. Now you need to take it one step further and know that it's never enough, right? And just know that pretty much what I'm saying is that you need to know that you can always be doing more and that you should be doing more to get more, right? And at this step, you want to say, hey, I've been going to the gym 3 times a week. It's something that I can manage. It's pretty easy. Now let's see if I can go 4 times a week. Or if you're trying to make more friends, let's say I go out once a week to make friends, go out to a coffee shop or something. Now I can go out 2 times a week because that's pretty manageable, right? You want to keep testing your limits so that you become better. And that's pretty much the final chapter and the end of this review. So I hope you have a good day, or I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next video.